Welcome back to Wargaming World, to France 1940, and to the second game in the Chain of Command campaign, capturing Caesar's camp. Now, for those who've watched the first video, you know that the British were defeated on the right flank, trying to push forward in their attack, held back by the Germans, and this is on the left flank. And the purpose of this is to try and move the Germans out of the built-up area and try and close down the flank where French armour is being hit by German 88s. So this is going to be quite a challenge again for the British. It's the 2nd Seaforth Highlanders who are attacking. They're also going to be supported by French armour. It's a temptation to have more than one tank. However, with the threat of the 88s, the British are just going to be supported with a Hotchkiss H39. The British forces, standard, it is a fresh platoon, which means we have 2 senior leaders supported with a boys team and a 2-inch mortar team. Then got a lot of support, 16 points, and so 3 is going to be used on the armour, the H39. I'm then going to add a Vickers for 4 points. I'm going to add 2 extra sections, so that's 4 points each, so that gives us 15 in total. And then I'll add an adjutant. It's going to be a little bit difficult, I think, to control all of the sections at the same time, and ultimately, if they start taking casualties and the morale declines, then it doesn't really matter whether you've got 5, 6 or 7 sections. Ultimately, you've got to be able to combine that together. So I think an adjutant will be helpful, and that's what we're going to use for the attack. Okay, so in terms of the German forces, again, it's a platoon, which means they have 2 senior leaders, and it's supported by 3 squads. We've got 2 identical squads, which are with an M34. It's a team of 3, and then with 6 rifles and a junior leader with a submachine gun. And then the third is also a similar size, but the machine gun is different. So it's a weaker machine gun, and that gives them only 6 dice rather than 8. For German support, we're going to have another MG34, it's just a machine gun team of 5 crew, and also a flamethrower team. So that's 3 points each, so 6 in total. And then there is also off-board 88 support in terms of a bunker buster. They're only really firing at the vehicles as they appear, and the British are only going to get the support of 1 tank, which is the H39. Just like to talk through the table a little bit. You'll have seen on the map that the game we're playing here is a flank attack. So where the British approach from this board edge here, and also across from this board edge here. The challenge of the game itself is that the Germans will occupy these buildings, and we'll do the patrol phase in a moment, but ultimately they're not going to go anywhere further from the lines of these buildings, which you should be able to see on the screen now. A couple of things to mention. Firstly, the buildings I've added, obviously you can put your own buildings that you like in there. I've added a school at the end, and all we know in terms of this area, you can put down whatever works. I'm going to allow firing from this building. You'll see that this building's got various holes in the wall, gives certainly good hard cover, and you can fire through the gaps there, but not particularly helpful in terms of larger squads. However, the building in the middle has got plenty of windows to come from. In terms of this area, in my first game I used a different area to indicate the wheat field, and I just didn't like it, so I've just replaced it with this. You can ignore the hedges in between here, You'll see on the map itself it should be an open area, and it will be. I'll just say that there's a undulation, so it's not great for movement perhaps. The hedges are fine at the end in front of those buildings, so it'll be good cover certainly for the Germans. And I've just indicated that this is supposed to be the wheat field, but I think it looks a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, shall we say, on the tabletop rather than what I had in the first video. Alright, so let's get on with the patrol phase, and then we'll have a look at the jump off points of both forces. Now, I've completed the patrol phase. Didn't really come to anybody's surprise that the British on this side have a jump off point which is right on the base point. Moving further along, there is a second here, the third is here, and the fourth is behind this hedge. In the patrol phase itself, I'd moved the markers across this area. There seemed little point in trying to move forward here. In actual fact, I couldn't, because the German markers were more or less here, and as a consequence the Germans get 4 jump off points. The German jump off points, not surprisingly, are in the well protected areas. They get 4 in total. We have 1, this front building, it's right on the edge of the original setup area. We then have 2, 1 at either side of this building, and the last is at the front corner of the school. I talked originally about having 16 support points for the British. The only thing we haven't done is to think about the commander's opinion and whether we might actually lose some support as a consequence. So I'm going to roll for that, and then we'll look at the impact. So the first roll is a 3, that's for the commander's opinion. We then need to think about the men's opinion. It's a 1, so that shouldn't be too bad. The German command's opinion and the men's opinion. So we actually have 2 tests for the men. One is for a victory, and the other is the one we're going to do now is for very few casualties. So we'll look at force morale. What we got here? Looks like we've got 8 for the British and 10 for the Germans. British to go first. 1 for the chain of command dice. And quite useful, 1, 2, 3, 4. Useful roll. So with a 1, I've got the Vickers machine gun out in the middle, and then I also brought on the senior leader with the 4, and also another unit out with a 2. With the 3 commands of the senior leader, he's put the machine gun and both of these units on Overwatch, and with the 3 I've brought on this unit, and again both units are on Overwatch with 2 commands from the junior leader. German first phase, and not too good. 2 1s and a 4. Start for the chain of command dice and a wasted 6. What I also should have mentioned in this scenario is that the Germans start with 2 full chain of command dice, and they can be used for any purpose as well as the 88s. Okay, with the 2, I brought the 2 1s together to bring a unit out, squad out, and with the 4 I've put the machine gun team and the rifle team on Overwatch. Not saying that the British can fire at them until the Germans fire. They're concealed in their position, and I don't want to fire first because I think I would want the British to move and therefore no longer being on Overwatch before firing. So that's the German phase. And British phase, 2 3s and 2 6s, so a double phase as well as another to the chain of command dice, taking it to 2. Now with the 2 3s I've brought on 2 more units, and they both could be on Overwatch. I mean, the intention is to move them in the next phase because we've got a double phase, but that's what the 2 3s have been used for. Second phase I've rolled beforehand and got 3 4s and 2 1s. Right, with the 1 I've brought in a mortar, and I'm going to fire a smoke round at the front of that building. It's a 4, 5 and 6. 6 it is, and that's the effect. The only other one I've got is a boys team, so I've brought it in here. Now with the 4 I brought in my second senior leader. Remember, I've got the adjutant, so the other units can come on. Well, I think I've only got one more support unit, and here it is. First order is to order this unit to move at the double. Second is to do the same for this one. 3d6, 8 inches, with the second 9 inches. And his final action is to pull a point of shock off the machine gun team here, or the Bren team I should say. So that's where the 2 units have moved to. With the 4 here, the senior leader orders this unit to move at the double, and he'll also take the 2 points of shock off. How far do they go? Oh, wow, 17 inches. That's where they get to. They can't get over the hedge, but they can certainly get up to this point. So that's where the British get to. German phase. 2 for the chain of command dice, which they've got lots of. A wasted 6 and a 3 and a 4. I've got a 3 and a 4 to play with for the Germans, and this really is the beauty of chain of command, because I'm not altogether too sure what to do. I could put a squad in the second level of this particular building. I couldn't fire, but by putting men in, I know I'll fire at some point, and in order for the British to get them out of that building is going to cause a lot of casualties. The British have got 8 for the morale. I know it'll take that'll down to maybe 7 or 6 or something like that. Or I could put them in this building over here. At the end of the day, the British have got to take both buildings. So rather than have German casualties, I can store it. That would mean, of course, that the British would take this building, maybe to their advantage. And again, with the 4 here, I have a senior leader already on the table. Do we mean that the Germans will fire? If they do, it'll prompt the British to fire in terms of those on Overwatch. Could fire just at this unit here. However, the fact they haven't done anything means that they're actually effectively in hard cover, because they're in soft cover and haven't moved. So there's loads of decisions to be made, and that happens every phase. You roll the dice and you don't know exactly what it is that's going to happen. So I'll have a think and then act. So in the end, with the 3, I've occupied it on the ground floor, and I'm on Overwatch. The machine gun is actually facing this way, so if the British come round the other side of the building and want to get in via the back door, then this unit is on Overwatch. I think that's the best option that I can take. As far as the senior leader is concerned, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to hold position and not act and pass over to the British. Wasted 6, 1, 2, 3s and a 4. Right, with a 1, I'm going to fire another smoke round. This time it's towards the side-on windows of that building. 5, that's a hit, and that's the impact. Right, with a 3, this unit's going to get over the wall. It means it's 2d6 removing the lower dice. 6 inches. Right, with the second order, the junior leader is going to order the man to drop a smoke grenade through the gap into this area here. Just need to roll anything but a double 1. That's fine. Quite a lot happening over here. So now the senior leader with the 4 is going to take the 3 points of shock off, and then with the 3, this unit is going to move normally up and through those trees. 7 inches. That's where they've finished. That's where this unit finished, and a lot of activity around this front building, but it's over to the Germans. 2 1s, a 3 and a 4. Okay, so now with a 1, I brought in a machine gun, MG34, and there's another unit in here. We've got an MG34 who can fire out of the top left window, and 2 rifles in front. So they're going to fire. We've also got some support with the junior leader as well. I'm going to check with that in 2 seconds just to see what difference it is on dice. I think it's +2. Right, okay, just to do the calculation. We have in this building, or this room I should say, we've got an MG34, that's an 8, 2 rifles, that's 10, and we're going to add the junior leaders. Effectiveness is 2 more, so 12 dice. Here, this machine gun, we've got 8 dice, but I'm going to add 3 additional points for the senior leader, so that's the use of the 4. So in essence then, we've now got 25 dice at effective range. It's less than 18 at this unit in soft cover. So this is the 12 needing 4s, and that's 6 hits. Another 13. Another 7 means 13 hits. Right, the green dice is the Bren team, and it's soft cover. So we end up 2 killed in the Bren team with 2 points of shock, and 3 points of shock in the rifles. Is it the junior leader? No, it's not. That was the unit at the back of that building that fired. It wasn't at the front, and therefore the ones who are on the units that are on Overwatch, including the Vickers machine gun, doesn't react to that one. And so what I'm left with is the 1, which essentially is the flamethrower team. I could bring it on, but I'm not going to. I'm going to hold it back until to see where I want it more effectively. I've also got the opportunity to call at the end of the turn, which means all of the Overwatch would disappear and all of the smoke also. But I think at the minute the smoke's not really helping the British either, so I'm going to roll for a British phase. 5 for the chain of command dice takes that up to 3. Then we've got a 1, 4 and 3. Right, the junior leader here is going to take off a point of shock and then order the unit to withdraw here into cover. Movement for the unit which has taken the casualties, almost no movement at all, because although it's taken a point of shock off, you've got to reduce 4, so hardly moved. With a 1 I'm going to fire another smoke round and fire it at the unit over here. Start with the smoke. That's a hit. Okay, so that shuts down that area. Here I've got a senior leader with 3 orders, and in fact what he can order the unit to do, and I think it's got a maximum of 3 grenades, is to lob all of them inside that building. And I can't think of a reason why he can't do it, so he's going to do exactly that. So we're going to have 3 rolls to see what we can do, and then I'll just share the casualties across the units inside, which I think is 3d6 of casualties. So it's going to be 3 grenades, so I need to roll and make sure I don't get a double 1 in each one. So the first one's fine, as is the second and the third. That's effectively 9 dice as if in the open. The green dice is going to be the machine gun team. Right, so that machine gun team in fact is, unless it's it's wiped out because you've got 5s and 6s. So that looks like 3 points of shock and 4 killed. Is it a junior leader? No, it's not. It's a bad thing though for a team wiped out. It's a 5, which I think is a -1. That is a -1, and the Germans are down to 9. Well, that's quite an impact. It's going to go the German phase, and I do want to end the turn really, because I want to make sure that the smoke disappears, etc. But that makes that particular building extremely vulnerable. So yeah, let's see what happens with the German roll. Oh, it's a waste of a 6. 3 4s, blimey, 1 3. First thing I'm going to do is fire the MG34 that's in the middle, which is 8 dice, but with the senior leader support, which is 3, so it's 11 dice. Actually, I've realised I made an error last time. I essentially said it was 13 from one group when it was 12, and in actual fact it should have been 11, and I gave it 13, so I'm going to deduct 2 from this. So I'm just going to roll 9 dice rather than 11. 9 dice needing 4s. Lots of hits there. What are we looking at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 on the rifles, 2 on the Bren team, and Bren team's wiped out. In fact, there's 3 men killed there. I'll take 2 from the rifles, and there's another couple of points of shock. Is it the junior leader? No, it isn't. Just move the tree just to show that's the unit. It's now got 4 points of shock. Team lost. What's that? 2 might be nothing. Yeah, 2's nothing, so that means the morale remains at 8 for the British. Right, I've actually got 3 points of shock there, so with the 3 I'm going to take 2 points of shock off. The junior leader actually is in this room, not that one. It's got all the smoke in, so I still think that's okay. And I feel a little paralysed with the smoke now in front of those units, and I haven't really got much option in terms of firing towards these units which are still on Overwatch, so I'm going to use a chain of command dice at the end to end the turn. And I'm going to interrupt again. I'm going to use the MG34 and 2 rifles, so 10 dice in total. I'm going to fire at this unit who's got 5 men. The shock is 4. I'm going to see if we can try and really dislodge them. So it's another use of the chain of command dice, but I think it might be worth it. 10 dice needing 4s. 7 hits, and it's all on the same team, a rifle team. Soft cover. And that looks like 2 men killed and 2 more points of shock. Is it the junior leader? Yes, it is. What happens to him? He takes a light wound, so that's a bad thing. That's a 5, so that's a -1. The British down to 7. 6 points of shock, and that means that unit is now pinned. Not sure if that was worth it, but anyway, over to the British. Double phase, 2 1s and a 2. Right, this section is going to move into attack in this building. I'm going to say it needs 2d6 to get in. We've got to go in through the building, or sorry, through the main door. I know it's very close to it, but yeah, 2d6 to attack. I'm sure it's going to make it. It does. Alright, I just thought I'd talk through how the melee takes place. Let's look at the Germans first. We've got 5 men, so that's 5 dice. We've got a junior leader, so you get 2 for the level of command. You get 2 because he's got a submachine gun. The British move 2 dice, if you remember, so that's another 2. And I'm going to say that the Germans are defending light cover, sort of bunker or something like that. And also, I'm not going to say that the Germans are hitting the rear. It's essentially light cover. So you get 1 more dice for every 3. So we had originally 11, so you get 3 more, so that's 14. Easier with the British. You've got 10 men, it's 10 dice. Plus you also get 3 because they have a senior leader, and 2 for a junior leader. So the British have 15, so the Germans 14. Now for casualties, when we roll, 5s and 6s are a straight kill, and 6 is additional shock. Let's roll for the defending Germans first. 8 casualties in total. Now for the British, a rather paltry 3. So before we work out the consequences, let's just see if the German casualties included the junior leader. 1, 2, 3. No, it's not. Now the British definitely had officers injured. So we have first of all the 6, but we don't know whether it's the senior or the junior. 1, 2, 3, the junior. No, it's the senior. What happened to him? He takes a wound. So we've then got another 2. So it's a 2 out of 6. 1 or 2, it's another officer. No, it's not. 7 men are killed, so I'm going to take 4 rifles and the Bren team out. Now across those 5 men, they've also got 5 shock in total. So I need to roll for a couple of bad things. First of all, team lost and senior leader wounded. Team lost. 3 is a -1. British down to 6. Senior leader wounded. 5, I think that's going to be at least a -2. Yep, a -2, and the British are down to 4. And it gets much, much worse. The British break and flee 18 inches, doubling shock. Shock now out up to 10. And that's a pretty disastrous output. It also means we need to roll for section breaks. And with 6, I think that's a -2. British will be down to 2, and the game is over. So that's the end of the game. It's another victory for the Germans. it might well be that you look at this campaign and think it's very, very difficult for the British to be successful early on, but I'm not altogether too sure that's right. In the first game, it could have been all so different if they'd have been successful on the right-hand side and taken the scout car. That was all on one single roll. And here, you know, the defeat has been entirely due to that action for the building, and it could have gone the other way. You see, if I'd have rolled the dice the other way, Germans could have got the same as the British the other way around. Making that overcomplicated, really, but I think in reality, the situation now is the British could have the same morale as the Germans. We'd have had to have had bad things for the Germans, with junior leaders being lost, sections or squads being lost, and then the Germans are in a fairly isolated position in that building in the middle. So it could have been very different. As is, however, Germans have been successful. The British have failed on both the left and right flank, and so we go to the third game with a rather difficult challenge. I'll roll for the overall position of the commander's opinion at the start of game 3 and that of the men, but it just leaves me to say thanks very much for watching. Thanks for some of the thoughts in the Facebook groups and the YouTube channel, and if you want to put something in, that'd be great and well received. And I look forward to you for the next game, and speak to you soon.